He's going to cut it back. It's a touchdown. He bounces out. It's a touchdown. Number 20.
Pass wide open over the middle. It's going to be complete at the 5.
Another one. That's Collins. He breaks a tackle.
Can he get one more block?
It's a cold day in Bismarck, but we're here for the first time ever. We're talking football. We're talking pigskin picks today. We're excited to have you along here. As you can see, we're all kind of huddled up. It feels like state semifinal weather, Duran.
It definitely does, and that's where we're at. Man, what a game we're going to have here in about an hour and a half, 2 hours. It's going to be a big one between Fordyce and Bismarck, and of course we've got some games around the state we want to talk about as we get throughout the show here.
Duran Miller right here. We got Carson Ward, the voice of the Conway Christian Eagles. We're going to talk to him in just a moment. Alan Russell, most of you know him as he's our sideline reporter and Mr. 42 Sports at one point, now ASN. You're all ASN, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's
yes,
it.
Sir.
So let's get that out of the way right now, right? Anyway, we're excited to be here as we're going to talk some football, and let's just get right off the top here. We've got some state championship games that were already played this week, actually last night. Poor Chase behind the camera here. We had the 8-man game, Strong and Midland, and it just didn't go that well for Midland last night. Strong won.
Chase is
big.
from Midland.
Yeah, you could just see the look on his face right now. I messaged him, and I was like, do we need a prayer meeting for you? And he said, yes, we do. So
I laid hands on him in the van on the way down.
It was a rough night for Midland. But you know what? Congratulations to Midland. First time ever they made it to the state finals. I believe they won more games this year than they had in the previous several years. And so it was a really, really good season for them.
Great year.
And they've got great-looking uniforms, by the way, just to say that. I don't know if you saw those or not, but they look awesome. They're very, very slick-looking. But it was a tough night. Strong Bulldogs, they started as our number one team in 8-man, and they ended as our number one team in 8-man. And we've got Bill Harshaw throwing a comment up right there. Said he's been waiting on this all week. We have too, right?
That's right.
You can get your comments in. All you got to do is just put your comment in, and we'll put it up on the screen as long as it's appropriate anyway. Anyway, Carson, tell us a little bit about your team, the Conway Christian Eagles, first ever state championship. You were there at War Memorial Stadium today. Tell us how you're feeling.
It hasn't quite sunk in yet. There's a lot of emotion on the field, and that's a special group right there. I grew up with a lot of those guys. I graduated whenever they were sophomores, so I played with them for a year, and they just have so much. They're such talented guys, but they fight so hard, and they've worked so hard in the off season, and great coaches over there at Conway Christian and at East Poinsett County. Want to go ahead and give them credit too on a great season. They're going to have, I think most of their guys are juniors or sophomores, so they're going to have a lot of great talent returning, and they're going to probably make another deep playoff run next season. But for Conway Christian, this is just the culmination of a senior class that's been starting for 3 years, and a really talented senior class that's been starting for 3 years. They've got all-state and all-conference performers all over the field. Quarterback Jaron Thomas, he was the one that everybody knew about really going into the season. And then Brady DeMarcus, the running back who won MVP today for Conway Christian, 22 carries, 137 yards, 2 touchdowns. He was the guy for them today, and he was able to put it in the end zone twice. And in that game, what was looking like going to be a defensive game, it really did turn out to be a pretty defensive game. Those 2 touchdowns were huge. You look at the path that both of those teams took. East Poinsett County played in arguably the toughest conference in Class 2A. You put a team like Mark Tree in any other conference, and they're not the 4 seed. You put a team like McCrory in any other conference, they're making the playoffs.
Yeah.
So they played in a tough conference this season. They were battle tested. But Conway Christian had a tough road in the playoffs. They played every game at home, which was beneficial. playing a team like Des Arc that played EPC so close, playing a team like Junction City who was up 21 at one point in that ball game. There's a lot of very, very good storylines that come with this team winning the state championship, and you know, it's easy for people to kind of overlook this team and say, you know what, you had a good group of seniors, but I think it's going to be a good foundational win for the program. First time in program history that they've won a state championship. First time in 60 years, I believe, is what I heard today, that Faulkner County's won a state championship. So it's a big deal for everybody in the community as far as even Faulkner County goes. And we've got a lot of excitement going on in that program right now. And you know, that game was it was a tough one. Halftime was 6-0, and we thought that might be the score at the end of the game, really, because nobody could do anything on offense, and it took one big catch that got the Eagles in the red zone to really put that game in their control.
Yeah.
And so it made the big plays were what made a huge difference. And when you're a defensive coordinator, you say, what's your goal? Limit big plays, usually. When you're an offensive coordinator, especially in 2A football, you want to run the ball well. And the Eagles created big plays and ran the ball well today. And I think that was what really got it done for them this week and really all season.
A very powerful offense that really got stymied for a lot of the ball game. Give us some thoughts here. They were down 8-6 in the fourth quarter. They had held EPC all game long. EPC was able to break through, not only score the touchdown, but get the conversion. We were there last week, and they scored 7 touchdowns and 6 conversions last week, all 2-point conversions. So they're very good when it comes to the 2-point conversions. But tell us a little bit about what was going through your mind and how you feel about what was going through the team's mind as they got down in the fourth quarter after leading it through the whole game.
Yeah, a lot of the talk this week was about, at least some of what I was seeing, was how well Conway Christian played Mount Ida within a point, and East Poinsett County just basically blew them out when it came once it got down to it in the second half. So a lot of people said that EPC really probably had the advantage for that reason. Now, I don't like to play that matchup game, but it's easy to do. And so for that reason, a lot of people thought that East Poinsett County had the upper hand in this game. And so, you know, it's just you see these two teams, and you know, you talk about that fourth quarter run that Jacob Gaines had. Physical runner, really talented runner. Of course, his brother Dennis broke a lot of records whenever he was at East Poinsett County as their lead back. So you got a lot of family tradition in that program with the Gaines brothers. And like I said, he's gonna have a good year next year. He's just a junior, I believe. And so, you know, you get down 8-6. Nobody's really scoring the whole game. You think, well, is this it? You know, is this going to be it? You know, you get one score in that kind of game, and you're up by 2, and you don't know where that's going to go. And so it's just kind of give the ball to your lead back, Brady DeMacus, who ended up with being the MVP, like I mentioned, 137 yards rushing on 22 carries and 2 touchdowns. You just got to lean on him, and you got to lean on your probably all-state quarterback, Jaron Thomas. Obviously, that hasn't come out yet. They won't release that till later this week, I'd assume. But you got a lot of guys that are probably in our MVP conversation, our D3 Autosales MVP conversation. You can talk about in 2A. You got Jaron Thomas and Brady DeMacus. I know we're on the list. Dominique Grimes from Junction City, Jacob Gaines from EPC. I don't know if his name was on the list or not, but he's had a good year. D. Buchanan's had a good year from East Poinsett County. And one of the things I want to talk about with East Poinsett County is Eli Blagg. First of all, that kid is tough. He is a tough player. He got hit so many times today and was able to not only get out of the hit, but he's able to make a play pretty much in the middle of a tackle multiple times that I noticed. He's a big physical quarterback, big physical runner.
Yeah.
He moved in from offensive line to quarterback in the middle of the season, I believe. And he really provided a spark for that offense and that team today. But they're going to have, like I said, East Poinsett County's not done. You're going to be hearing about them next year a lot. You'll be hearing about Mount Ida and Junction City and all of them, and probably Conway Christian a lot too. So it's going to be, you know, for a lot of these teams, it's already become move on to next year. Figure out what your game plan is for next season. But for Conway Christian, you know, for me as a graduate from there, it really hasn't sunk in yet. But you know, I'm really excited to see how the community rallies around this team, and being able to see these guys who've worked so hard and deserve this, it's really a special time for that program and for those guys being able to go up there and say congratulations and really see all their hard work pay off.
Alan, let's get you in here. You're a Poinsett County guy. I mean, you graduated from Mark Tree. That's a huge rivalry over there between Mark Tree and EPC. I assume at some point a game that ASN will do over there. But tell us a little bit about, from your side of things, your perspective. You were there today. Tell us a little bit about what your thoughts on the game was.
Well, EPC, I figure they left a lot of plays on the field. Nothing against Conway Christian. I don't think no one expected Conway Christian to play the way they did on defense. I mean, they come out in the playoffs, got behind 21 Junction City, and then got behind Desark at halftime as well. I believe the coach even said that he thought that he needed to get off to a better start today against EPC than they've been getting off to in the playoffs here. So I feel like EPC left some things out there on the field today, but Conway Christian, they caused that. They played well on defense, and to be honest, the way they've been playing on defense, I really don't think EPC expected that. So hats off to Conway Christian for being able to get those kids ready to come out there and play today.
They were prepared. Duran, you got any thoughts on it?
Just a great season for Conway Christian. I think Carson and Allen hit on everything. Really, they just played a great game. I was one of those people talking about that Mount Ida game and how it was 42-41 a few weeks back. It's been about quarter of the season ago at this point. But when you compare scores and look at the EPC game, against Mount Ida, we did Mount Ida the week before in our game of the week at Murfreesboro, and they looked really good that night. And then for EPC to just take them out the way they did, about 20 points roughly, I think it was 54 or 33, something of that nature, it looked well for them. Now, I thought if EPC, I thought they'd be able to score on Conway Christian, and you got to give your hats off to the Conway Christian defense today. That's what won them the game. Both teams kind of shot themselves in the foot at times, had some turnovers, but in the end, obviously, Conway Christian able to get their first championship, and I think you said first championship in Faulkner County, 60 years. That's impressive.
Wow.
Aaron, let's get some sponsors in here if we can real quick. We want to say thank you to those that have sponsored us today. We've got FBT Bank. Bank Simply, they're in Fordyce. Appreciate them. Also, Chase McCullum of Shelter Insurance. He says, "Go Bugs, go." He's a Fordyce sponsor. And then also Clark Fawcett of Edward Jones in Fordyce. You can see the address there, and I'm looking at our monitor trying to get it because I'm working my 43-year-old eyes here. 1900 West 4th Street in Fordyce, Arkansas. You can call them at 870-352 2607. Cell phones up there as well. We've got a comment here. It says, "Is the Fordyce Bismarck game going to be live streamed anywhere?" Yes, right here. Right here. This is the pregame show for it. So make sure that you're tuning in. Make sure that you're sharing this out with your friends. This is the pregame show. This is our Pigskin Pick show right here on the Arkansas Sports Network, and it's a Pigskin Pick show because we're going to make some picks, and we're going to talk about games that are coming up. And let's just get right to that here. First game we've got is tonight's game that will be played at War Memorial Stadium. We've got Farmington and we've got Parkview. Parkview, this is a really good story game here. Parkview is going for 3 in a row. Really a dominant team in the state of Arkansas, while Farmington, Tommy Tice, one of the most well-known names in the state of Arkansas, a guy that hasn't played for a state championship since 1999. He took over the Farmington program just weeks before the season started, and somehow has led this team into a state final. And I don't think that was expected.
Right. Yeah, I was able to interview Coach Tice this summer for our Hometown Sports, and he just kind of stepped in at that point. Hadn't been up there that long. He'd actually had some surgery done at that time, coming back from it, and they had a lot of pieces coming back. They played well down the stretch at the end of last season, but he's helped take them to another level. Their offense is extremely potent. Now, they're going to have their work cut out for them tonight, and they're playing a Parkview team that's, as far as I know, has at least 4 Power 4 guys. We still count the Big 12 as a Power 4.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and count it tonight.
Power 4 guys going out of there. And there's more than that, but I know there's those 4. You want to name them? Cam Settles.
Quentin Murphy.
Yes. There's 2 more.
Marion
Robinson is the one I'm thinking about going to the Big 12, Kansas
Elston.
State.
Yep.
And Elston.
Elston's going to play for Kansas State.
That's the one, yes.
You've got
he's a Darren Sproul's top.
Right. Robinson going to Oklahoma, formerly of the Big 12. Right. Settles coming to
Settles
Arkansas.
To Arkansas and Murphy.
Murphy to Arkansas.
That's right. They're running into a really stiff test there. It's kind of like when you're playing Greenwood and you're in the 6A, with Shiloh going to take that. We're going to get that a little bit. It's a tough test, but Farmington has the offense to put some points and make that a game. So it's going to be fun to find out who's going to come out on top on that one.
Absolutely. You guys' thoughts before we get our picks in?
Farmington is a team, like you mentioned, with an explosive offense, and I think that maybe one of the only teams in Class 5A that can match that kind of explosiveness is the Parkview Patriots. Duran said that he mentioned talking to Coach Tice. I talked to Coach Boulding in the offseason, and he's got a lot of guys there. He's really proud of the program that he's built, and he's got guys that he's told me it's just give them the ball and let them do what they do. You don't have to draw up plays for them. They're just go score kind of guys. And so Elston's one of those guys. Murphy's one of those guys. Robinson is usually a deep back. When you put him on offense, he can be one of those guys.
Settles,
yeah, is definitely one of those guys. So being able to have those kind of guys, I don't know if Farmington can match up with that. But Farmington has a quarterback named Aiden Lester. He's really, really talented. Of course, Coach Tice is always going to have his team prepared in every way before a game. He's one of the legends in the state. Coach Boulding at Parkview is sort of building his name as well. So got a lot of really talented players on both sides tonight, and you got a Parkview team that has had some disappointments, with their disappointment being a loss to Bryant.
Yeah, right.
So, undefeated against Class 5A opponents. So, it's going to be an uphill climb for Farmington tonight for sure.
All right, Alan, thoughts on it real quick?
Well, Farmington has been running up down the field like y'all said, but I don't think they haven't ran into a Bobby Bowden coach defense yet. So I think they get stifled tonight. But we shall see.
Well, let's go ahead.
I would like to add one thing to that real quick. So the only thing I will say is Parkview might have been – it's hard to say this because they're so good. They might have been better last year. Bryant, I think, is definitely better this year, and they weren't able to take them down. And then Camden Fairview, which is in that conference. They had to play them twice last year. They played them this year, and it was the closest game that other than the Bryant games, that Parkview has had in the last couple of years. So maybe they're a little bit susceptible to someone like Farmington kind of catch them. I don't think it's going to happen, so let's get to the picks.
All right, let's get to the picks real quick, and you're going to be able to see this as we come up. And they say it looks cold out here. You are exactly right. I'm going with the Parkview Patriots. I think it's really hard to pick against them. Farmington's a great story, but I've got the Patriots tonight.
Not so fat, no, I'm playing. I'm going with Parkview as well. Farmington does have the firepower to keep up with them, but I think they're too strong in the end.
Carson, what do you got? Well, let's go with Alan first.
Give me Parkview. I think they just be too much tonight.
And Carson?
Yeah, I like Parkview. They got too many athletes for Farmington to handle. Not that Farmington doesn't have any, but Parkview are just on a different level.
And the rest of our crew here, Bill picks Parkview, Chase picks Parkview, Justin picks Parkview. We're Parkview across the board. And I know that somebody's going to screenshot that and put it out. If Farmington pulls the upset, they're going to show everybody that we picked against them. But it's hard to pick against the Patriots in this one. Let's move on here to what game do we have next? I believe it's the 6A game. Is that right? 6A game with Shiloh Christian Greenwood. Guys, the biggest thing about this game is I've got to let Aaron catch up just a little bit here with this game. This is just, when you come to names in the state of Arkansas, really, and brands, what two brands are bigger than these two brands?
It other than Bryant here in the recent tradition, but if you think the last 25 years, these two rise to the top for sure. Greenwood, just such a good team and such a good program. Now, these two met earlier this year, and it's one of the closest games Greenwood has had to play.
In 2 years.
Yes, in 2 years. Of course, you got Kane Archer at quarterback there. You got his brother. Believe he signed with UCA. Is that correct?
Yes.
That's what I heard. And what's his name? Cade? Cash. That's right. And he's a big-time linebacker, big-time weapon for them. And I think Greenwood is playing with a little bit of extra fire since the Shiloh Christian game. I think they've got a little bit more things to play for. So we'll get to our picks in a moment. But Shiloh is the one team that has shown that there's a little chink in the armor in the Greenwood.
Interestingly enough, Shiloh now, because they played in the 6A finals, they moved up to 7A in the next cycle. So they have been all the way from 2A. They've played up every classification.
I can remember them playing Hector in the championship of 1999.
All right, Carson, give me some thoughts.
Yeah, these are two of the most historic programs in the state. You mentioned over the last 25 years, and you've got great athletes on both sides of this matchup tonight. Running back Griffin Mason from Shiloh Christian is a guy who puts up big numbers every week. And then, of course, on the other side, first of all, mention their quarterback at Shiloh, Cole Creighton. He's a talented player as well. And then you've got Kanan Cash, Archer, and then for Greenwood, they've got Cody Taylor on the offensive line. He's a really good offensive lineman who's getting some attention from a couple different schools. And then they've got Grant Carnes, I believe is his name. Really talented receiver. He's kind of Kane's go-to guy. Kind of a Mr. Reliable kind of type. You throw the ball his way, you're going to be a good chance that he's going to come down with it. And so, Greenwood has been seen as the juggernaut. And they've been seen as probably the only team that could give Bryan a run for their money this year if they were to match up. So, Greenwood's going to be hard to handle for pretty much everybody. But Shiloh might be the exception. Benton was the team that we all thought was going to be walking their way into through that other side of the bracket to the title game, and Shiloh ends up pulling off the upset. So Shiloh's hot right now. Greenwood's got to watch out because Shiloh's got a lot of momentum after that big win over Benton.
Alan.
Yes, sir. Greenwood also playing for a fallen teammate earlier this year, so I think that's that extra motivation. I may give Shiloh a chance, but if that wasn't the case, I just feel like that right there is going to be enough to Greenwood's going to play extra motivated tonight.
That's something that we haven't mentioned. Isaiah Arrington was a guy that was getting offers from the higher level teams. I know that he had an offer from Missouri State, I believe. And he died in a house fire. Just a very tragic situation. We know that Greenwood is playing with their hearts on their sleeves in that ball game.
That's what I was talking about earlier.
Yeah,
a little bit of extra motivation for this game.
So let's get to our picks real quick. I'm going to go with Greenwood, as you can see on the screen there. Duran, who you got?
I'm going to go with Greenwood in this one. I think that extra motivation, and they're already so hard to beat anyways. And Shiloh played them well, but also Greenwood's seen what blueprint they use, and I think they're going to combat it with that. And it's going to be a really good game for the Bulldogs.
I got Greenwood. I think there'd just be too much tonight.
Carson?
Yeah, I like the Bulldogs as well. They're going to have they've had a fantastic season, and I don't see why that would change tomorrow.
The rest of our crew here, we got Bill with the Bulldogs, Justin with the Bulldogs, Chase with the Bulldogs as well. Again, it's kind of the same situation with Parkview. It's hard to pick against them until somebody beats them. Shiloh could give them stiff tests, and I think that they very well could tonight. So, or tomorrow afternoon, you got to watch that one. So let's go on down to the 7A ball game, which is Bentonville and Bryant. That's a matchup that a lot of people have wanted to see for a very long time, and we get a chance to see it. We have been high on Conway all year long. Conway beat Bentonville earlier this year, 55-21, but it was the Tigers coming through with a last-second field goal. It was just an amazing finish up there at Bentonville last week, and big-time win there for the Tigers.
Yeah, I mean, came from behind and had to run on the field with like 15 seconds and kick that field goal and able to do it, and that was such a hard thing to do, and able to pull that off. It's a great storybook ending right there, getting back to the state championship game that we know Bentonville's been to a lot in their program's history. And they are going to run into a very tough Bryant team. Bryant has really gone up another level from, last year was the first year in 6 years they hadn't won a state championship. And I think they use that as motivation. Sometimes when you get to the top and you're winning state after state after state, sometimes that fire kind of starts to you got to stoke that fire again a little bit. And I think losing the Parkview last year and losing in the playoffs did that for them. And they have been playing on another level. We did have Conway really high. Grayson Wilson got hurt, went out, came back. He only played 2 games, counting the loss to Bentonville. So they just weren't the same. And Bentonville has just gotten hot down the stretch. They played some really good games and got some big wins. So it's going to be a great matchup.
Carson.
Yeah, Bentonville was hot, and everybody knew that. They started off 0-3. Now they're, I think, 9-3 or something like that. So 9 straight wins for Bentonville. And you look at Bentonville and Coach Grant over there, who I interviewed in the offseason, and he's always fired up about that program. His son Trevor's their quarterback, and they have a fantastic running back named Chris Ficklin, who's really come on later in the season. And going into the game against Conway, it was hard to pick against the Wampus Cats because of Grayson Wilson coming back. Everybody kind of thought that was their saving grace. After they lost to Bryant, they said, well, if they get back to that state championship, you put Grayson Wilson in there, Arkansas commit, they're going to have a much better chance. And that's nothing against Taft. The backup could perform really well in relief of Wilson. But there's so much talent over there at Conway every year. But back to this game, Coach Sanders at Bryant has brought this team back. Took the job at Jonesboro a couple years ago when Buck James left. Decided to come back to Bryant and take Coach Buck James' spot as the head coach over there. And so he was really out to prove that he could take this team to the promised land as their head coach since Buck James went over to Conway, and he's been able to do that this year. And they've looked dominant in just about every form and fashion this year. Jordan Walker is a fantastic quarterback. Daniel Anderson, I believe, just committed to Northwestern, who plays running back over there. And so there's a lot of really talented guys over at Bryant. And Bentonville and Bryant, this has kind of been the West versus the Central. This is the culmination of those two conference champions.
Alan, what you got?
Well, if Bentonville, that early season schedule, I feel has them, had them winning here late in the year here. But I don't think they've seen anyone like Bryant. Bryant's just that team in Arkansas right now. I mean, They're just, no matter who coaches them, they've just got the athletes. They've just got the tradition. So, I mean, it's hard to go against Bryant, against anybody.
One of the most historic runs in the state's history here with 6 out of 7 if they win tonight. And we're going to go ahead and get to our picks on this one. And I'm going with the Bryant Hornets.
I'm going with the Bryant Hornets as well. Even though my wife's from Benton, she's going to almost sleep on the couch tonight.
Alan, who you got?
It's a cold night, so could Bentonville use that to their advantage? I don't think so. I'll take Bryant.
Carson, who you got?
Had to tease it a little.
Yeah, I like the Hornets as well. Bryant's always a really good line of scrimmage team. I always think line of scrimmage wins championships. Bryant gets it done.
Our rest of our crew all have Bryant. I know, again, I'm just waiting for the screenshots of this, right? Everybody's going to be talking about this.
Not a lot of mystery so far.
All right, I know that probably the games that people are more interested in down here in the 4A and the 3A. Let's get to the 4A games right now, and let's start with Elkins and Mills here. You got Mansfield and Salem. Let's go. Can you go to Elkins and Mills? Let's do that one. We'll go to Mansfield and Salem right before this one here.
Let's get this crowd into it a little bit. Bismarck. Look if we can pan up here for our camera.
We got Bismarck folks here. They're already ready to go. Y'all
5
ready?
o'clock, they've been
Y'all fired up about this game?
It's about 38 degrees right now, and they've been here for almost. A lot of them have been here an hour already.
Get a nice shot of that over there.
Yeah, get that right there. Here we got.
What do we got? Johnny Diaz. Malachi
Moore. All right. It's a great day here at Bismarck. We're excited about this one, but we'll get to this one. We're going to get a chance to pick this one here in just a moment. But let's talk about Elkins. Let's talk about Mills. We've had Elkins this year with Elkins and Warren. Elkins is a team that we've had previously as well. We were at the state semifinal game last year when Harding Academy went to Elkins and won. That was a really good game between two really good teams. Last year we felt like Elkins, the lights were a little bit bright for Elkins last year, and that's why I felt like that they lost that ball game. I really feel like that experience last year is going to help them.
Yep, it's paid dividends to get to where they are now. They come out red hot this year, and a lot of people, us included, we were like, they've got to replace Dizzy Dean, the quarterback, Stone Dean, his brother, who was a wide receiver tight end specialist. Deshaun Chairs, one of the best running backs in the state, had unbelievable athleticism and quickness. They had to replace all that. I thought they were going to step back a little bit. They reloaded, and they come out hot. They took down Dardanelle 51-0. We know Dardanelle and Arkadelphia played a really tough one last week. They were able to to take down Warren in the Classic at Arkansas Tech University, the ASN Classic we had. And they've really not slowed down. They had a little bit of rough sledding a little bit against Gravett for a few quarters there. Took control of the game in the fourth. But really, other than that, maybe the first quarter against Mina. After that, they've just rode all year, and they've got guys everywhere. Deshaun Townsend. Trying to think of another receiver. His name escapes me at the moment, but they just got major
Landon
weapons.
Martin's another one.
Landon Martin, definitely one of their best receivers, number 3, if I remember correctly. He's a guy. He's kind of a slot guy that can do it. They'll line him up all over the field. X, Y, Z, it don't matter, and he can get open on you. And they just got a great running back, and they just really fast. Walden,
yep.
Really fast on defense, and just can do a lot of things. And Townsend's a guy that they use, and Walden was the running back I was thinking of. And Townsend's a guy they can definitely use and get open. And he was a guy that had some trouble last year, and I think he's turned it around completely this year, catching the ball.
Alan, I'm going to get to you here because you were with us at the ASN Classic down there. The physicality of the Elks is really what stood out to me in that game with Warren. And, Coach Zach Watson, I know his background, really great quarterback from Hector. Right. But the physicality there that he brought to that team, a guy that came from Greenwood for a year, he was at Morrilton under Cody McNabb for several years there. He's really brought a physical style of football to the Elkins Elks.
Absolutely, and I feel like the Elkins also has an advantage in who they've played this year, tougher schedule. Mills, not to no fault of their own, until they got to the playoffs, it wasn't battle tested really this year. But they proved in the playoffs, they beat Warren. And I'm not sure who it was in the first round, but they beat some pretty good quality football teams here in the playoffs to prove themselves a little. But I just think Elkins will just be too much tonight. Elkins, you got to also think that Elkins against Warren also got a lot of turnovers in their favor in that game. So and then Warren was breaking in Cam Burks for that game. So I still give the edge to Elkins tonight. But the way Mills been playing here in playoffs, I feel like Mills could shock them.
Being at Mills, it's going to be a real factor there. What do you think, Carson?
Yeah, Elkins has kind of been the giant that everybody's been trying to slay all season, and had a couple come close. Gravett was one of them, as we've talked about already. And then last week, of course, you look at Warren, and Warren's probably a team that's been improved with Burks really getting more into form at that quarterback spot when he was having to come in and replace their quarterback who got injured, whose name Jackson Denton. And so, you look at Elkins, and like Duran was saying, they lost so much talent last season, and you look at everybody thought, they might have a little bit of a drop-off, but everybody still expected them to be good, just not the way they were last season. And they've proven
better, for sure.
And they've proven everybody wrong in that regard. And Mills is a team, they have a freshman quarterback whose name escapes me right now. But
Moody,
Elijah Moody, yes, and he's going to have a bright future ahead of him, and that program has a bright future with him at the quarterback spot. And this is a Mills program that's turned out a lot of really elite talent the past couple of years. Charleston Collins, who plays for the Hogs now, was at Mills last season, and so they just continue to reload, rebuild, and everything in between. So this is going to be a good game between two teams that always have good talent. And two teams, one from Central Arkansas, one from Northeast Arkansas, two hubs of strong football, and we'll see how it turns out.
Well, let's get to our picks real quick. I've been high on the Elkins Elks now for 2 years. I can't go away from them. I think Elkins gets a chance to play in the state championship. I don't know if it's their first one, but they haven't played in one in a very, very long time. So I'm going with the Elks.
I was going to talk about that one as well. Northwest Arkansas team. I think they are battle tested. I think they have played the tougher schedule like Carson or Allen, I think, were the ones that alluded to that. But what might do it for Mills is they watch SpongeBob after touchdowns on the sideline.
Right.
And maybe that's enough to take down Elkins. I don't know. Elkins is so physical. I've got to go with the Elks.
Alan?
Yeah, I'm going to take Elkins. I just think, but keep in mind Mills could shock them.
All right.
Yes.
What you got?
Yeah, I like Elkins as well. I think Moody's a talented guy, but he hasn't been in this spot yet. That might get to him a little bit, besides the fact that Elkins just looks like they've been head and shoulders above the rest of their competition this year. I'm going to take the Elks as well.
And the rest of the crew here, we've not deviated yet. We've all picked the same teams.
And in defense of Mills, they are a team that we haven't personally gotten to see this year. So that's always a tough pick to make. So, I mean, they might shock us tonight for sure. I would not be surprised.
So one of the things that I'll say as we wrap this one up on this game is that I feel like the Elkins defense versus a freshman quarterback, it's got to be advantage Elks at this point. Now, Elijah Moody could really show out tonight, and he could really bring it to a point where you say, well, he's just a talent that may be just a step above. So it's a big-time proving ground. This is state semifinals. Anything can happen. Playing on their home field, that's a big deal there in the 4A. We want to encourage you as you're watching here. We've just got about 20 minutes left in this one. We've got 3 games to pick. We've still got – if you need to go ahead and cross, go ahead and cross here. If y'all need to cross, go ahead and cross. Like, share, comment, subscribe. We've got the Bismarck game with Fordyce coming up after this one, so make sure that you're with us here. Share this out with your friends. This is our first one ever. If you like what we're doing, hey, if you're in the stands right now and you're liking what we're doing, give us a cheer for us. We got nothing.
The speaker go out?
Yeah. There we go.
There
we got one over there. She's liking what we're doing.
Yeah, I think our speaker went out.
Hey, did the speaker go out really? Gosh, well.
No, I didn't.
Okay,
All
right, we're still
good. They just
good.
didn't cheer for us. They want us to talk about Bismarck.
I was going to go
We're doing them
Stone Cold Steve Austin on him there. Give me I can't do it.
Right.
I can't do it. All right, let's go ahead and go to the 4A here real quick with Arkadelphia and Southside. This game right up the road from here, not too far away, the Arkadelphia Badgers have been a team, really like Bryant in a lot of ways in the 4A, maybe the most preeminent program in the 4A. They lost early in a couple non-conference games. I think maybe kind of wrote them off a little bit too early. They're playing really good ball. They went and beat a really good Dardanelle team last week. Yes. I cannot emphasize that enough. That's a really good Dardanelle team.
Yep.
And they did well, and that was a tough place to play for them.
Everybody looks at the Elkins Dardanelle score of 51-0, second game of the year or first game, I can't remember at this point, and they kind of write them off and are like, well, they don't play a tough conference. Dardanelle was playing since that loss on another level, and we're around the Dardanelle areas out of our base in the Pope County area, and of course we know I grew up with their head coach Phil Vega and their son Creed Vega, their quarterback. I mean, he really went to the next level. He has Division I potential. He's a big-time athlete, and they've got a lot of weapons around him, and Arkadelphia was able to take them down. I mean, that was just a huge victory for the Badgers, and a really well-played game that, Dardanelle's had a few teams like that where they might could get all the way and someone trips them up. Warren did it a few years ago. I want to say 2013 maybe, right in there when Josh Price from who's our head coach was still the coach of the Sand Lizards then. Arkadelphia able to pull it off and punch their ticket and move on. They're a big-time program, and they're playing really big right now. We did do the Southside game early this year with, who was it this year? It was Highland.
Mm-hmm.
And they were a good team. They showed up that night. Highland's a good football program. Southside was able to take care of business. It's going to be a really good battle. I think Southside is undefeated coming in, if I remember correctly. So it's going to be a good one. Let's move on to everybody else's thoughts on it.
Yeah, Southside's a team with Coach Simpson. He's built a big following running that gun tee offense that he does, and you have Owen McLaughlin there, really talented back, and this is a program that moved down from 5A to 4A, and they look like they haven't taken a step back at all, right. And so it's a really interesting dynamic. You've got a lot of guys returning to that team this year that played in last year and made it deep into the playoffs. So Arkadelphia, like you said, they've been a powerhouse for quite some time now, and here they are again in this spot deep in the playoffs in the semifinals, and so it's going to be an interesting matchup. You got kind of the old blood and the new blood coming in, and Southside looking to really build on this deep playoff run in the future, and so really excited to see how that Arkadelphia defense matches up against Kenny Simpson's offense.
Alan, what you got?
Arkadelphia just got it rolling right now, man, and they got the experience, the tradition. I'm not to say Southside can't go in there and win that game tonight, but you got to lean Arkadelphia in this one.
Alan's very simple. He just keeps it
He's
short,
cold, man.
short
He's cold.
and quick to the point here. Let's
Being
go ahead.
smart.
Let's get to our picks here. I don't know who all has picked everything, so I'm going with Arkadelphia in this one. I feel like they've got the advantage being at home. I will tell you, Kenny Simpson there. If anybody can scheme one up tonight,
That's
it's
right.
him. And we've been high on Southside all year long. We've had them in that number 3 spot all year long.
Yes.
And so, they're a very good team. We respect them a lot.
Yeah, this is a tough pick. This is one of our tougher ones. I did end up with the Badgers in this one just because I've kind of been around that Darnell program a little bit and just found that as such an impressive victory last week. That's why I'm going with the Badgers.
All right, guys, over here.
I feel like we're creating a lot of bulletin board material
Right,
tonight,
no
guys.
doubt,
I really
no
do.
doubt.
So the underdog is going to come out here and just play lights out tonight. But you got to go Arkadelphia in this one. But I wouldn't be surprised. Southside is undefeated. Wouldn't be surprised if they shot them.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Southside. I'm going to be the first one to deviate.
There you go.
I like Coach Simpson a lot. I think he's one of the better football minds in the state of Arkansas. I like Owen McLaughlin a lot. I think he's a quick physical runner, and he's got good speed as well. So they got a lot of good components. I think Southside pulls off the I guess we can call it an upset.
Yeah.
But I like Southside in this game tonight. The Southerners, I think, will move on to the state title game.
And the rest of our crew here, Bill, Chase, and Justin, all. What do you got on Bill and Chase are going to take Arkadelphia. We can't get the other one to come up. So,
Chase, who'd you
Chase,
get?
you go Arkadelphia? You went south?
He went Southside.
No, you went Southside.
He's from Midland,
I
man.
should have known that. He went with Southside.
Not far.
That's
There
not
it
a
is.
bad pick.
Oh.
No, he did go with Arkadelphia. He don't remember.
He don't know. All right, so we got Arkadelphia there for everybody but Carson. Carson's the first one to deviate. All right, guys, we got 15 minutes, and we're getting to 3A. Anybody want to hear some 3A picks? Here we go. Here we go. We got a little bit. All right, 3A picks. We're going to get to the one on the other side, not necessarily on the other side of the state, north of here. We've got the Mansfield Tigers and the Salem Greyhounds. And, interestingly enough for us is that we were here in week 0 when Bismarck and Mansfield matched up.
That's right.
I don't know that anybody put in their book that was going to be a state finals matchup. Now, it isn't there yet.
Matchup,
It's not
right.
there yet. Potentially, it could have been. But we didn't know at the time
had
that
no idea.
Number one, we didn't know that we would be back here in the semifinals. We knew Bismarck was going to be good. We knew Mansfield was going to be good. We got a comment here. You guys travel a lot. Who has the best barbecue in the state? We'll talk about that in a little bit.
Yes, that's a good question.
But, at the end of the day here, Mansfield has shown us to be a team that's very tough, very battle-tested, more athletic than I think people would think. But the Salem Greyhounds are playing really good football right now.
Salem this is the hardest pick, actually. This one in tonight's game, these are the two hardest picks. I think 3A is so deep this year, and like we've been talking about it all year. There was a legit 10 teams that could probably win a state championship in 3A. We're down to 4 now.
And I think that this speaks to what you just said right there. These 4 teams we talked about, there were 10 teams. When the playoffs started, it was Osceola, it was Rivercrest. We thought Bismarck
Newport
had a chance. Newport was one of those teams. I don't think that anybody would have put
Boonville.
these 4 teams in the semifinals, all 4 of them together.
That's right. Yeah, I go back to the Salem scores. They lose to Atkins this year, which Atkins is has gotten so much better this year. 40-36, I think, was the final, if I remember correctly. And then Bismarck blows Atkins out, 55-17. Of course, they had a bye, so they had 2 weeks to prepare, which they didn't know who it was going to be, them or Perryville, but similar offenses. So and then Salem goes and just destroys Rivercrest last week.
Yeah.
Scored over 50 points on the Colts. Rivercrest is that team that, other than Elkins last year, played Harding Academy as close to anybody, and that was last year in a state championship game. So it's going to be fun to find out who comes out on top in this game. I really like the Tigers. I also like the Greyhounds. It's going to be fun to find out. I mean, you can go either way with this one.
Thoughts on the other side of the table here?
Yeah, Mansfield's a team that, since Coach Overton's gotten there, has really turned that program around. They got the Burton brothers there that are really, really, really talented. I like Mansfield a lot. I like Salem's offense and their explosiveness. They've come out of one of the, some might say, one of the weaker conferences in that class. Mansfield, of course, came in this Bismarck atmosphere, this tough Bismarck place to play, and really made it close in the first week of the season, first game of the season, I guess is the correct way to say it. But it's really interesting to see these two teams that were, like y'all mentioned earlier in the season, they were matching up right here in Bismarck, and then you see them on each side of the bracket with a chance to play in War Memorial at the end of the season. It's really kind of a storybook ending that for Mansfield to get revenge or Bismarck to close it out the way they started it.
Yeah, we're not quite there yet, but I mean it is a possibility. What do you got, Alan?
No one mentioned revenge.
That's
Mansfield
right.
ended Salem's season last year, so give me
1 point.
Yes.
1 point game,
Yes, sir.
14-13 last
yes, sir.
year.
That's a big motivator going in there tonight for Salem. Big motivator.
So think about that. Last year Salem was undefeated, y'all. I mean, they were undefeated.
Right.
Mansfield last year knocked off two teams that were undefeated back-to-back weeks with Salem and Hoxie. We saw Hoxie last year. They were a good football team. Right. That was an unbelievable run. Mansfield comes off. They carry that run right back to where they're at right now. And we're going to get to our picks right now. And, again, this is, as you said, one of the harder ones to pick between these next two games, this one and this one that we're at right now. I'm going with Mansfield. As Alan said, this is a 50-50 type ball game. Right. You got to pick somebody. I'm going to go with the Tigers.
Yeah, very tough matchup. I'm going with the wing T of the Mansfield Tigers and the Burton brothers. Or they're not all brothers, but they're all on that team, the boys, and they're really good. Daniel, Andrew, Samuel. I think there's another one as well.
Alan.
Give me the Salem Greyhounds. I just think that coach can use that to his advantage tonight. Hey, they ended your season last year on your field. Things just came full circle for you. Go out there and handle business tonight. Give me Salem.
Alan's going to take the Salem Greyhounds. Carson, who you got?
I like Mansfield here. I think that Mansfield, this cold weather sometimes can benefit those wing T, run-heavy style offenses, and Salem's a really good offense, don't get me wrong, but Mansfield's got the physicality aspect of it. I like Mansfield in this one.
All right, and then the rest of our crew here. Bill takes the Greyhounds. Justin takes the Greyhounds. Chase takes the Tigers. I mean, this is going to be a great – yeah, there we go. We got three. We're evened up there. All right, we're going to get to this one here where we're at right now, the Bismarck Lions and the Fordyce Redbugs. What a game, what an atmosphere this is going to be tonight here from Bismarck. I mean – y'all, just to be honest with you, can't be more excited about this one.
Yes.
We've got Bismarck at number 1. We've got Fordyce at number 2. You could flip-flop these two teams, and I don't think anybody could say that you're wrong there. We were here to watch I felt like
Prescott.
almost historic game where Bismarck was able to knock off Prescott. They did it with a backup quarterback. That was so impressive with what they did. The game plan was unbelievable. We've talked about Bismarck quite a bit. And one of the things that we've talked about, and let me get to Larry Preston's comment real quick, pulling for Bismarck, Fordyce can reverse the field and make a quick defense look slow, Redbugs by 8. I mean, he's not wrong there, but one of the things about Bismarck that I think that people don't talk about enough is the speed that Bismarck has on the field. I've talked to people around the state, and one of the things that they say is, Bismarck is faster than you think that they are. And
they shock people.
And they play very hard. We've talked about that a lot amongst ourselves. Bismarck plays a very hard brand of football, very physical. Reminds me a lot of Elkins in a lot of ways on 3A level.
Yep. You hit the nail on the head with that. Bismarck plays really tough. You watch this game tonight. Every time they run the ball, they run with reckless abandonment. I mean, they are shot out of a cannon. They're not worried about the toughness, because they are tough. They want to be the hammer, not the nail, and you'll see when they carry the ball. Even if it's little Johnny Diaz, who's not that big, he runs as hard as anybody in the state of Arkansas. They got a lot of speed. Cademan Keithley is a junior. That's the quarterback, Ben Keithley's brother. That's the head coach, DJ Keithley's son. He is, he's definitely in the top 3 or 4 fastest guys I've seen in the entire state all year. And we've been around. We've done a lot of games. He is definitely got the speed, and he will shock you. If he gets the edge, he's gone. You can't let him have the corner. You can't let him get the sideline, or it's over. And he saves a lot of touchdowns on the defensive side as well. Ben Keithley, one of the better quarterbacks in 3A. We've talked about it all year. Ironically, he's got 4 picks on the year, and all 4 were in games we were at.
Yeah.
Now, he just came back from a shoulder injury. And, you know, he also had a guy named James, number 1 for Osceola last week, that jumped in front of a couple balls that I don't think he'd ever seen a guy being able to move that quick. It was really impressive.
We got a comment
They
here
were
real
able
quick.
to win both of those games. Let's get to that comment.
Yeah, can Bismarck stop the Fordyce run? I mean, that's a question that we got to know.
Another thing we don't talk about enough is the lines of Bismarck. Cole Smallwood, he's a guy that was injured that night as well when we were here against Prescott, and they were still able to get that victory. They've got several guys. Wheatley, number 55, he's also their punter, really big-time player for them. They're very physical. It's going to be fun to watch and see how it all plays out. But Fordyce, Cadillac Ellison went down, and Zay Jones has come in and kind of picked right up where he left. They've got a great running back. Carson, what's that running back's name?
For Fordyce?
Yes. His name escapes me right now. But he is one of the better running backs in the state. I've been high on Fordyce all year. I had him in my preseason number 2 pick. And, their coach has been on our website and our Facebook page and talked a little bit about the rankings early on. And I think Fordyce used that as a little chip on their shoulder. And I think it's helped fuel their run this year, and they've had a great season. These are 2 giants colliding tonight. It's going to be a great matchup.
You can put your comments, your picks of tonight's ball games, and we can get them on the screen here. We've got about 5 minutes here before we wrap this thing up, but we're going to let you know about our picks. Duran and I cannot pick this game.
Right.
We're calling it, but, man, it's going to be a good one. Larry Preston says, I wish this game was the first half of a doubleheader played on Saturday on the neutral site. That's an interesting thought there deep into these playoffs here. Let's get to the other side of the table here.
Yeah, I like Fordyce a lot. I think Coach Rogers always does a good job with that program and that team. And you kind of had a surprise this season. You had the freshman, Cadillac Ellison, coming in and making some noise. And you don't have that this week. You don't have Cadillac Ellison. Goes down to what most have been calling a nasty hit. In one of their earlier playoff games, they come in and they're running that option. I believe they're still running it even with Ellison at the quarterback spot, and so you've got that run game down. You run that offense pretty well. Probably a lot of these guys have been running this since Pee Wee ball, and so when you have an option offense, you've been running the same way for a number of years. You look at teams like Mount I, you look at teams like Desark in 2A that run this style of offense. Mansfield even in 3A. When you got it down, you got it down. It really works well. So it's going to be an interesting game. You got Ben Keithley back for Bismarck, and you have Cade Keithley back, or not back, but playing really well for Bismarck. You got
Preston
Johnny
Hughes,
Preston Hughes. You got Johnny Diaz, who's quicker than fast. So you got all these guys that are going to come together. Got a star-studded matchup tonight, and we're excited to have it right here on ASN.
What you got?
Brad, hand me that Bismarck helmet right there, that invisible Bismarck helmet. Am I going to put that on? I don't think so. I'm going with Fordyce, baby. I think they just a little bit too good in the trenches.
You know what? We had a chance to see Fordyce against McGee this year. They're huge.
Yes, sir.
And they are always big, and they're very athletic. And, I mean, again, 50-50.
Their center on offense is
50-50 game.
a man-child.
Absolutely. Cole Matthews says it's going to be a battle of defenses. It very well could be. It's really hard to say. Last week, Fordyce was able to overcome Boonville.
Right.
I think that people wrote off Fordyce a little bit because they did lose Cadillac Ellison. Thought Boonville would be able to go. 13 seconds to go, and they were able to win the game on a 34-yard run there to seal it.
Yep.
And so, anyway, with that being said, this Fordyce team, no joke, they're legit. Obviously, they wouldn't be here. Somebody tonight is going to get their first loss of the season. That's the heartbreaking thing.
That's true.
For one of these 2 teams. One of them's going to Little Rock. One of them's getting their first loss.
So Brad and I can't pick this game, but is the public announcer tonight? Are they gonna turn the lights off early, or are they gonna be playing Hit the Road Jack when this one's over? We're gonna find out shortly.
So let's get to our picks right now. Again, as Duran said, me and him will not pick the ball game because we are calling the game tonight. I'll be doing your play-by-play. Duran will be doing the color. But we're going to let these guys here next to us. I'll tell you what, go ahead and put Bill, Chase, and Justin up there if you can. Goes with the Lions. Chase goes with the Red Bugs. And Justin goes with the Lions tonight. Now, you two, since y'all are here, you've already kind of given your pick away.
Yes.
Alan,
Go ahead with Alan.
Check that logo real quick on that if you can.
Yes.
There you go.
Can you do it? Okay, we got it. Alan's got the Red Bugs. Carson, who do you have tonight?
Well, let's see if I can build the suspense a little bit here. We've got
Not so fast.
Right?
we've got we've got two teams that are 1-2. They've been in that top 5 really all season. They've been sneaking around the rankings a little bit, one after the other, and eventually it all comes together right here. And you see the Red Bugs and the Lions right here on the Arkansas Sports Network, right here in Bismarck. So you got right now when the lights are brightest, who's going to step up and take it? Who's going to step up and want it more? And that's really what it comes down to. You know, with that EPC Conway Christian game, both of those teams fighting hard. It just came down to who wanted it more. And so, you know, I think that it's going to be a really, really interesting matchup. You've got two teams with a lot of history, two teams that are really ready to make some more history. But I'll tell you what, the difference in this game is going to be, guess who's gone? Cadillac Ellison. Guess who's back? Ben Keithley. Give me the Lions.
Oh, Carson picking the home-standing Lions. Fordyce getting some love, but the Lions are picked by 3 of our panel. 2 of our panel picks the Fordyce Redbugs. Duran and I can't pick anybody tonight because we don't want to give people something to gripe about.
Right.
That's right. But with that being said, we want to say thank you. Here, what we need you to do right now before we close this stream up, and we do got to get upstairs and get set up for the game tonight. Make sure that you join us tonight here for this one, 3A semifinals. We'll be going live here in about 45 to 50 minutes. Get ready for this one. But if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. Hit the like button. Go ahead and comment right now. Bismarck Lions have the drive, the desire, and skill to win this one, says Kathy Talbert. I mean, look, it's going to be a great one tonight. State semifinals, guys, you don't want to miss it.
I think her boy's number 27,
there you
if
go.
I remember correctly.
Go Lions, says Godzilla Animations. I mean, we could go. Look, y'all waited too long to get your comments in. We can't read them all out. Larry Preston says 3A playoffs more wide open. That's exactly right. I'll tell you what, 3A playoffs, we felt like that they were actually wide open coming in. We felt like there were 10 teams. Guys, we want to say thank you for watching. It's cold out here. We got to go get set up. Duranda here and Carson and Alan, guys that are behind us, Aaron pushing the buttons, Justin and Chase, appreciate y'all. We got to get set up for this ball game tonight. It's going to be a good one. Make sure you tune in right here to ASM. We'll have all of it. Let's throw our sponsors up one more time if we can. We want to say thank you to those sponsors for being a part of what we do here on the Arkansas Sports Network. We cannot do it without you. And we've got Clark Fawcett, the financial advisor, Edward Jones, 1900 West 4th Street, Fordyce, Arkansas, 870-352-2607 or 870-313-2774. Chase McCullum of Shelter Insurance, 870-352-2151. And we've got FBT Bank, Bank Simply. We appreciate them for being a part of what we're doing here at ASN. It is impossible to do it without you. So we say thank you. They're going to be a part of the Fordyce sponsorship. We've got Bismarck sponsors for the game tonight. We've just got a little bit of everything. We want to say thank you. We got to get upstairs. We'll see you next time.
Later.
About 20 minutes. 30 minutes, 40 minutes. We'll be there.